What up? That's right, Jason Pump Esquire here from the Public Safety Network, giving you PSN NOD, News of the Day, our nod to public safety, our daily news program, giving you the latest and greatest, what's going on in the public safety area. You give me 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, and certainly less than 5 minutes, and I'm going to blow your mind. So let's get started. Last week, the FirstNet Authority, my alma mater, approved its fiscal 21 operating budget of $213 million. $83.5 million of that is going to go to the annual operating expenses of the agency. Another $83.5 million is going to be held in reserves. And then they've got $46 million that has been allocated for enhancements to the FirstNet network. So that's awesome. This is what we envisioned in terms of this self-sustaining model that is and has become FirstNet. And that is that in addition to operating nationwide, there'll be excess of funds that will be made available through the agency to continue to expand the capabilities for public safety. And as you know, the FirstNet Authority Board recently approved expansion and enhancements to 5G capabilities for the FirstNet network, as well as increased deployables for disaster response and network reconstitution. So very exciting. I'm super proud of my folks at FirstNet, and keep doing what you're doing, and can't wait to see those funds get into the hands of FirstNet and ultimately to benefit public safety. Other good news by the government, the FAA has recently approved a waiver program for beyond visual line of sight drone piloting and for public safety only. So this is a huge step forward to enable public safety to leverage drones and leverage technology even further than they've been able to do thus far. There's certain limitations, and it has to be critical to the operation to have the beyond visual line of sight capability. So this is in preserving, saving human life. This is going to be search and rescue. This is going to be purveying a structural building fire, or putting eyes on the ground of a burglary in progress. You know, these kinds of things that are pretty critical. There are limitations. The drone has to remain within 1,500 feet of the pilot. And the pilot cannot fly the drone more than 50 feet above or 400 feet around an obstacle. So there's still some limitations there, but this is great news for public safety, especially as more and more agencies are adopting drones like Chula Vista and others around the country. So very good news. On not so good news front, fire safety. And we know we're in fire season, especially in the western part of the United States. Well, here in Virginia, in Aldi, there was a house fire causing almost $1 million in damage due to defective lithium-ion batteries in a remote control car that was charging in the garage. We've heard these stories before. Lithium-ion batteries are and can be a danger if not used appropriately and according to manufacturer direction. So I think given the extreme risk that even a small fire can cause in the right conditions, really important that we take heed. So very important not to use lithium-ion batteries if they're in any way damaged, if they smell, if they're discolored, if they're leaking. And you'd want to make sure that the authorities are contacted right away if that is the case, so that you can have proper disposal and make sure the batteries are not near any flammable materials. You also want to make sure that you're using lithium-ion batteries in accordance with manufacturer instructions, that the device itself has gone through the appropriate national standards testing and quality testing when you're purchasing. Use only the charger that comes with it. Don't put the batteries in excessive heat, like inside a car in the middle of 95-degree temperatures. Don't put it out for direct sunlight through a window where they can overheat and cause problems and cause a fire. So good battery safety, really important, especially given the time we're in now and what's going on, especially in the West Coast with fires, which brings me to my next story, which is we are in a record-setting fire season, and that is not a good news story, unfortunately. But this is the reality of what we're facing. We've got 11,000 lightning strikes over the last few days have spawned over 370 individual fires. We've got at least 5 people dead. We've got 600,000 acres burning in the California area, tens of thousands of people evacuated. This is becoming a very, very common tale. But this year, worse than most, not only because we're seeing more fires and we're seeing increasing temperatures, but COVID has really shifted how firefighting is being done. And you just think about the restrictions this places on our firefighters. So they now have to wear, in addition to their normal fire gear, PPE. So neck shrouds and gloves and certain types of face gear to make sure that they're protected. And the concept of social distancing has to be applied here, right? Because we have to keep our firefighters safe. And when we have multiple agencies responding to these large brush fires and forest fires in close proximity, it causes a secondary risk of COVID transmission. So you're seeing things like staggered meal times. You're seeing firefighters who are spread out over given areas and are being put up in hotels and instead of being tightly grouped as they ordinarily would. And this is also on the line where they have to have fewer firefighters grouped together as they're fighting the actual fire itself, as well as fewer public safety in transport vehicles, where you may have had a transport vehicle full of firefighters now can only have 2 or 3 at a given time. And that's going to slow down response. So really, really challenging conditions. My heart goes out to all of the very brave first responders that are on fighting these fires out in the Western United States and everywhere. But really important that we all do our part to stay safe and to minimize the risk that we may start a fire or contribute to the starting of a fire, which puts lives at risk. What else is going on in the world of policing? We've talked about defunding the police. I don't like that term. I think it's a matter of not defunding the police, but allocating funds so they're most effective for public safety. And in Austin County, Austin City, they're doing that. They've taken about $150 million of what had been police budget and actually reallocating that to EMS. And they're doing that, and it's going to, this money for fiscal year 21 is going to purchase more ambulances. It's going to enable the hiring of significantly more personnel, 67 new sworn personnel. It's going to continue to support administrative positions as well as support their COVID hotline. But the other thing it does, which is interesting, is it creates a new office of the chief medical officer. And why this is important for them is that it will enable them to engage in a much broader array of telemedicine while in the field. And this is a good thing, right? So whenever there was necessary for an EMS consult in the field, that was done over the phone and that was a requirement. But now with this expanded office and capabilities, they're now going to be able to add two-way video and the exchange of data for on-scene consultations for telehealth, which, as we all know, and as I'm a huge fan of, and I think is the future and is going to help save lives, create efficiency, save money. So very exciting news there. So even though we've talked about this defund the police, I like to call it kind of refunding the police. We're refunding or distributing the funds differently, but in a way that enables all of public safety to do the jobs more effectively. And that's how we have to be thinking about this and this effort. So anyway, great job going on in Austin. With that, that's the news of the day. I appreciate everyone joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.